ain't gonna lie, y'all, this one is gonna be a deep one. And it's not gonna be very long. I honestly don't know where to start, even though I have a list, even though it's a little planned out. But this is a video that I kind of want to do straight from the heart, because this is something that's been heavy on my heart, something that I've been feeling for a while. I kind of went through this a couple of times in my life, and it is the 9 stages of grief. They're my 9 stages. They're not, I didn't look this up. I didn't Google this. I didn't get any other outside sources to do this video. It came straight from the heart, something that I personally experienced. And I kind of wanted to share this with you guys because we're all human. We're all going to go through love, depression, happiness, sadness, things like that, just in different ways. It's not talked about enough. It's not preached in schools. It's not properly educated. Especially with 2020, I know for a fact people have went through grief. Definitely, if you've experienced some grief in 2020, maybe this video can give you some solace, and it can give you some sort of comfort knowing that, you know, you're not alone. These things happen, but there are ways to get out of that. So to kind of get right into it, I've experienced grief in my life 2 times on a major level. The first time would be my cousin, Zakaria. I haven't said her name in a long time, but her name is Zakaria. She transitioned when I was 12 and she was 13. So it hit me in a major way, and some of the examples that I'm going to be using, it will come from the experience I had from her, and also I've experienced grief from another person who was a major part of my life, but it's no longer a major part of my life. You know, something that used to be everything, and then now it's nothing. It feels the same way. I don't know if I'm dramatic, but that's my experience, and that's what I've been going through. So the first thing would be the devastation. Okay. It's just going through the loss itself, knowing what that is, feeling that, knowing that that person isn't here anymore. I'm not a psychologist, but I can only imagine what that realization, what it does to your brain, because that person was just here. Maybe you were just talking to that person. Maybe you planned a trip. Maybe you planned your life around this person, and now it's not what you thought it would be. It's the hardest because you're totally a mess. You don't probably look like yourself. You're not eating. You're not understanding what's going on. So you don't know how to think. Everything is horrible, and nobody likes that feeling, you know? And then you go through the disbelief of the fact that it happened. I know, like, when my cousin passed, I know exactly where I was. I know exactly what I was doing. Of course, I didn't understand. I mean, I was 12, and then not only that, it doesn't make sense, you know? I remember just a week before, we had planned to, well, I know I came up with the idea because we spent summers down there, you know, with her. So we were going to make a movie that summer. We were gonna go get a camera. I was gonna get my older cousin. We're gonna get a camera, put our money together, and we're gonna shoot some kind of crazy movie just to make a memory. But we never got to do that. And I couldn't believe that that was real. I couldn't believe, you know, just hearing that she was gone. It was like, nah, you can't be. This ain't real. Like, you know. And you go to sleep, you wake up, and someone's still telling you this person's not coming back. So it takes a minute for that to sink in the brain, or it just takes a minute to sink into the soul. It's just not real to you, right? Then the realization hits, and it's the fact that you know, okay? You didn't believe it at first, but now you know. And honestly, when you get to the realization stage, I feel like, me personally, it was another wave of devastation. It's the worst stage out of the 9 because just knowing that this is really happening, it just takes a toll. It takes a toll, and then you thought you were a mess at first, but now you don't know what to do anymore. Maybe you had a daily routine with this person, you know, or maybe, you know, that person, you called that person every time you woke up. That routine that you used to have with that person is now gone, so you don't know how to regroup because everything's changed now. Amen. Number 4 is the one of the most important. I need you guys to hear me out on, and it's the anger. It's the anger that comes with the realization that this person is no longer here in whichever form, whether they transitioned or if they walked out of your life or if they've decided to go another path. You're angry at this point. You want to retaliate. You want to, for me, like when my cousin passed, I remember I punched a wall. Real talk. Like I've heard people doing it before, but I've never really done it until like I felt a pain that was so deep that I felt like physical pain. It would actually take my mind off the pain that I was having emotionally. It's crazy, for real, like you want to feel physical pain because the pain emotionally is too deep and it's too unbearable. It hurts so bad, I kind of cry myself to sleep, to be honest. And sometimes maybe you're angry because you feel like you don't deserve this. Like, why did this happen to you? Why doesn't this person want to be here? Why did that person have to leave my life? You know, you're probably questioning God at this point. You're questioning yourself and you're just livid. You want to break things. You want to destroy things. You want somebody or something to feel your pain at this point. It's very, very important to note because people don't understand sometimes. Like, okay, a person walking by could see you in this angry state and don't understand why you're mad and can judge you and be like, this person's a bad person, but they don't know that you're grieving. Maybe you judge yourself and you feel like you're a bad person, but you don't know that you're grieving. And these stages aren't in any particular order per se, because I'll say that the anger has come up many different times throughout my grief. Multiple times throughout my grief, I become angry, and it's like you can't shake it, you can't stop it. Sometimes, it just happens. So then, once you've gotten all your anger out and things like that, now you just don't want to be around nobody. You don't want anyone around you. You literally isolate yourself to a point where maybe you're just in the room all day. Maybe you just haven't left the house. You don't want to talk to nobody either. You stop going to events. You stop going to family events. You stop, trying to hang out. You trap yourself in solitude because you feel like, I don't know, you're kind of drained at this point. But I will say though, isolation is kind of important because only you know what you need sometimes, So you do have to sit with yourself sometimes and kind of go through what you're feeling. How can you, move forward? Because sometimes outside advice won't help. And to me, isolation builds that inner strength that you're gonna need in life in general. You're gonna need inner strength. You're gonna need to be able to pull strength from yourself to bring yourself out of situations. But like another stage is irrationality. Being irrational, overly emotional, and just doing over emotional acts. Okay, this is important because this stage could actually come right after or intertwine into the anger stage, because in this stage you're doing things that you wouldn't normally do, saying things you wouldn't normally say to people, becoming who you aren't originally. For me, it happens because of the ups and downs that you go through while you're grieving. 1 minute you're happy and then literally 2 seconds later you're mad or you're sad. Some people can't understand it. Some people are looking at you like, get it together. You're just up and down way too much. Like, find some happiness or something like that. But you can't. You're irrational at this point. Everything breaks you down. Everything is serious. Everything is just like life or death. I remember one time I laid in the grass and looked up at the sky and started talking to her. And I guess I'm not going to say that's irrational. Like some people might say that might be normal. Some people might say it's spiritual, whatever. But, I felt like it was over the top. When I look back on it, I felt like if anybody had walked by and saw me, they would like, something's wrong with her. I remember, at 12 years old, like laying in the grass, talking to the sky. And I'm just like, why? Like, why are you not here type stuff. I just felt like I was just doing things because I didn't know what I was doing. And even just fast forward to when that important person left my life, I remember just doing things just to do them. It's no real deep explanation for why I did those things that I did. But I just know that I was at a heightened level of emotion, and I know that I didn't feel good. I didn't feel like myself. I said things I shouldn't have said, done things I shouldn't have done, overreacted in a lot of different ways. And it's because I was irrational and over emotional. And you can even get to a point as well where you're hallucinating and having illusions. So let me break down a little bit what that means for me. So with the hallucinations, I will say when I was 12, I think it was the same day I was like laying in the grass. It was like a pool area in our apartments. I was walking by that pool area and I could have sworn, I'm not gonna lie to you, I could have sworn I saw her. So when I thought I saw her, I ran, right? I ran all the way to the gate and I yelled her name. But no one turned around. Thankfully, they didn't see me or hear me, but because they were far away. But I yelled her name, but of course she wasn't there. That's a real situation that actually really did happen to me. I thought I saw her. And then I add the illusion part onto number 7, because when there's somebody who's still physically here, but they're just not in your life, I put illusions because sometimes you try to double back, and sometimes you try to make it work, and sometimes you try to make amends or things like that, and you try to start over with this person. And then when y'all in that state where y'all trying to start over and y'all trying to make amends with each other, but it's still not working, it's a time period within that situation where you feel as though it might work. You think that it might be the way that it used to be, but it actually isn't. And that's why you just keep trying. But really, in all actuality, it's an illusion. You think it is, and you thought in your head that it might be something that is really not. And that happens through grief as well. So after all of that, now you're just numb. You don't feel anything. If you said something to that person, if they're still here, if you said something to that person, you wouldn't even care what the consequences were because you don't feel anything. And you'll tell that person, I don't feel nothing. And then on the contrary, where, that person isn't here anymore physically, it actually got to a point where it felt like she wasn't even real, to be honest. And I ain't gonna lie, it's actually hard to say that I actually felt at one point that she wasn't even real, or I just, I started losing memories of her because it's been so long. And, I remember her voice. I remember I can probably got good 5 memories, even those fade. And then you feel like, it's been so long that it almost feels like they weren't here. And that came with the numbness as well, of just that I would cry, but then the crying stopped, And even with, with a person that's here physically, eventually you've cried it all out, that emotion won't come out of you. Lastly comes the release. Now you understand what your life is like without this person. It's just the understanding that you have to move on without this person. It's hard. It is very, very hard. But I put release because it's time to let go. Even though for my cousin, I will never let her go. Not in the sense of, oh, she's gone. No, it's I know she's always with me. I dream of her. Sometimes I feel her. And one time I actually smelled her scent while I was walking one time, and just, it was crazy. But the other person, I know, I understand where we are. I understand that I have to let this person go. So really what this stage is we've been through all of that. We've been through the worst, but now it's a strength. It's a certain strength that you've developed at this point that you understand you can move on. You'll be okay. You can let this person go with love. You can let this person go with love. So I have to leave you guys with a message, a solution to this. And because we talked about grief and how it makes you feel, but people say, what then? I have something for you. I have a what then for y'all. So I will say, these are things that I did as a healthy alternative. I chose to eat right. I actually read a book that changed my life, and I will put that book in this video so you guys can see. That book changed my life, taught me about mind, body, and spirit, holistic health. So what that means is it's not just about eating right. It's about your body, exercising, and also doing things to clear your mind. So obviously I read books. Sometimes when I read, I'm able to write. I drew inspiration from the things that I read, which helped motivate me through these trying times. I found hobbies. I chose a friend. All in all, what I did was I chose not to harm myself. I chose not to resort to drugs or alcohol or even just talking bad about myself, because sometimes that happens. You do that kind of on accident, but I chose not to do those things. I chose to put self-care as a priority. It helped me cope, to be honest. And I can sit here and actually say that I got through that and I survived it 2 times. It's just amazing when you find that inner strength and that, you know, you didn't give up on yourself. It's amazing. Other than that, that's all I really got for this video. Live, love, be light. I'll see y'all in the next video.